Hello and welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Joshua J, and in this video we're going to discuss why the language that you choose at the poker table dictates whether you win or lose. For this video we're going to define language as both verbal and non-verbal, because obviously what you're saying out loud is important, but also what you're thinking in your head is equally as important. Firstly, let's get the really easy language choices out of the way. If you're finding yourself grinding and you're saying things like fuck this shit or oh my god no way, or any of the other stereotypical tilt words, there's a real problem. And poker is a game of variance, and if you are getting angry, you need to stop that and you need to figure out a way to move past it. But this video isn't really to solve those, because I think that's quite obvious, and anger tilt and swearing and smashing your keyboard up, those are things that you don't want to be doing, but there's a million videos on YouTube that are going to help you with that. So if you have that problem, go and get it sorted before you continue with this video. So this video is for more nuanced language choices, and I'm going to give you an example to show that in action. So I recently realized that I was losing at 100 BBs per 100 with suited 2 gappers. And I didn't really know why that was happening, but then I started to listen to the language I was using, and I had some help from my friends on Twitch. And I found myself saying things like, I should call here with 9-7 suited because if I flop well, I'll get paid. And firstly, when we dive into that language, where does the should part come from? And that's the important language choice here. It's not the rest of it, it's the should. So words like ought to, should, must, and can are words that all indicate necessity. But in that exact example, where did the necessity come from? And like, was that a good, profitable strategy, or was it something else? Like, where did I actually get that from? That thought process in my head that made me want to say I should defend 9-7 suited. So when I dived a little bit deeper into that, and I realized very quickly that during my home games when I was younger, between 16 and 18, me and all the lads, we used to say things like, oh well, you can't fold suited connectors and you can't fold suited cards because you always crack aces with that. And obviously I now know that that's an absolutely terrible strategy and it's not going to make money, but my unconscious belief and my language choices showed me that I was acting in a different way to an optimal strategy. Once I caught that language pattern and I stopped making those mistakes with suited 2 gappers, my win rate tripled, and that's just one language pattern that tripled my win rate. So here are some more keywords that you can look out for during your sessions and things that you should be monitoring if you want to like not have language dictate you losing. So how many times during a session do you hear yourself say words like he always has it here, or he never does that? Behind language choices like this are usually massive overgeneralizations based on previous experiences. So for example, you get 3-bet with kings and your inner voice says immediately, it just brings this voice up and it says, oh well, he always has aces here. And that's a language pattern that's going to cost you so much money, because poker is an infinite game and there are rarely always and never events. So therefore you shouldn't really be using language like he always has it here. You should be using language that's like, okay, we've been 3-bet. What does his range look like? And if you use language like that rather than overgeneralizing and just making it just a finite thing where he always has aces here, you're going to save yourself so much money. You're actually going to play more optimally, and you will not be able to do that if you are using massive overgeneralizations based on previous experiences. Now we know the potential impact of our language choices during our sessions. Where do we go from here? Now, firstly, you need to become aware of the language that you are using. And if you aren't streaming on Twitch, like I am, shameless plug, send it, I highly recommend you speaking out your thought process and recording either on your phone, on a voice recorder, and this will give you footage to go through and analyze for common language patterns. So once you've figured out those common patterns of your language and you've gone back through the footage, you can start to ask yourself questions about like where they come from and basically are they serving you. And a really good set of questions to ask yourself are like, where does this language choice come from? Is it from profitable strategy that I know works? Or is it from like a memory from 6 months ago when I ran kings into aces twice? Or was it from 3 years ago when somebody told me that calling 5-6 on the button was the best play versus an undergun range? Is it something like, well, if I flop a set, I'm going to get paid? Like all of these language choices that we use, you need to start to break down where they come from and basically ask yourself like, is this serving me, or if it isn't? And once you've figured out which patterns are not serving you, it's time to like recode your mind and change. And this can only be done through active practice and repetition. Unfortunately, you can't just find them and then immediately just change all of your language patterns. So for example, when I get suited 2 gappers now, I pause and I ask myself, and if you watch me on stream, you'll see me do this, I'm asking myself the internal question of like, hang on a minute, is this actually a good play? Is this in line with an optimal strategy? Or am I going back to 16-year-old Josh that just wants to crack aces to beat his friends, you know? And I asked myself those questions every time, and now it's about 2 weeks on from figuring out that language pattern. I don't really have to ask the questions, I just know not to do what I used to do. So after time, when you keep doing this, you will reprogram your mind to use good language, and good language will result in good actions and good decisions, and that will result in a really good win rate. So this topic of language use at the poker table is infinitely deep, and it's extremely personalized, and it's really hard to cover in one short world-class video, I may say, on YouTube. But if you have found value in this and you would like to speak to me more personally about the language choices that you are using during your sessions, and like you may think that it's holding you back and you want to get some help with that, please scroll down below this video and you can DM me on Facebook, go an old school boy, and just say the word language, or just like, hey Josh, I found this on video on YouTube and I want to discuss more how my language is maybe affecting my poker game, and I'll sort you out with some resources. So I'll leave you with this, and this is really important for all of you guys studying solvers and trying to get better at the game and learning ranges and all of those different things. You may be missing a thing with language, because your language dictates your actions and your actions dictate your results. So therefore, to improve your results, you simply have to improve your language. I hope that's helped. I hope it's been valuable, and thank you very much for watching. I wish you all a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll see you next time. Peace.